Hello, this is Allison Church. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I, however, am not. When I was at work, which I haven't verbally told you, but I'm sure you've gotten the impression I detest, a colleague that I've known for about 8 or 9 years, who in the middle of the night we've all told stories to that were a little colorful and probably somewhat inappropriate, if I should be honest to say, betrayed me. And it hurt a lot. I wanted to ask the question, but I knew if I did it would compound the issue. Would you have done this thing where you stood in front of our boss and made a freaking federal case out of a very insignificant misnomer if I wasn't transgendered? I almost wanted to ask that question, but I've discovered in the course of my developments that the more I try to speak up for my rights, the more I try to keep my dignity, the more I try to push back and say no, my life at work becomes more complicated. Now see, I'm stuck in a catch-22 situation. I hate my job, but I need the medical insurance. It's good medical insurance, and it covers what I want to do. So I have decided when I am at work, I will do my job, and I will do it well. But when it comes to the interaction and talking with my coworkers, this is all they're going to see for 12 hours. And I fucking hate it. I can use some well-wishing if you would be happy enough to give it to me. Let's move on. I want to talk about something happy. I would like to share with you one of the first celebrity encounters I ever had. I was about 10 or 12 years old. I get fuzzy when I go back into the past. I was at Universal Studios in California, at Universal City, and we were rummaging around in the gift shop. I was thirsty, and I went looking for a water fountain. So I went down this long hallway. It kind of looked like, an everyday office wing, similar to the ones we all go to today. And I found this old-fashioned water fountain, the tall ones that had the foot pedal at the bottom instead of the button at the top. So I started drinking water, and while I'm drinking water, I can sense that there's somebody standing behind me. Well, I was thirsty, and I was a kid, so I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and all of a sudden I hear this voice go, "Hey kid, are you going to drink up the whole Pacific or what?" I turned around, and standing there in front of me, holding an empty coffee mug, like the kind that they have in office coffee makers, was Peter Falk, the guy that is known for playing Lieutenant Columbo. And I loved that show because I loved the dog, whose name was Dog, by the way. And I turned around and I looked at him and I gawked because I knew who he was, because it was one of the only shows that my family would watch together. It was usually, I think it was on Monday nights. Could be. I could be wrong. But I go, "Hey, you're that guy." He looks at me and he kind of does this and says, "What guy?" You're that Lieutenant Columbo guy, the guy in the raincoat." He goes, "Do you watch that show?" I said, "Yes, I watch that show." He says, "What do you like about that show?" I said, I like the way you treat your dog. You're very kind. Your character's very kind. I must have impressed him, or because he smiled. Not a big smile, just like a, well, thank you kind of smile. And he looked around and he said, where's your parents? I said, oh, back there, I think. We came in with the tour. And he goes, ah. So he asked me silently, he did this. He told me to follow him. I went into his office, or I assume it was his office. It's not like I asked. I was starstruck. Gave me a seat in front of his desk, and he called the Universal Studios security. You know, he was just sitting there, and we were talking, and I was saying all the things that I liked about his show and how other famous people had been on his show and stuff like that. And he giggled, and he laughed, and we had a good time. He was a nice man. About 20 minutes later, there was a knock at his door, and the door opened, and my parents were standing behind the security officer. And they did not have a good or pleasant look on their face. But when they saw who I was with, they became just as starstruck as I did. It was a good moment. I liked it. And as I was getting up to go, Mr. Falk said, hey, kid. I turned around, and he had this pile of 8x10 black and whites of his character. And he took one down, and he wrote on it, I'm going to say my dead name, so prepare. He wrote on it, to Don, with my sincere best wishes, Peter Falk. I still have that autograph today. And every time I watch an old Columbo episode, or if I see a movie where he's in it, like I love the original In-Laws. The remake, but every time I see him, I can't help but think that the world is a little less brighter without his presence in it. Yeah. What we do in life reflects how we are seen after we pass. I think that's one reason why I write. Because I want to leave something that says, yes, I was here. I mattered. I did something. I hope that every one of you have something like that, something that gives you focus, gives you center. Because it's so important. I will come back tomorrow, and I promise I will try to be in a better mood. I'll try. I thank you all for your support and the very kind words that you've sent me. Right now, they're all that I have. So, I will talk to you tomorrow. This is Allison Church, and this has been Allison Through the Looking Glass. I wish you all a very good night. Be kind to yourself. Bye-bye.